Chapter 10. The Ghost in the Machine. The core chamber was more overwhelming from within. The air thrummed with a silent power that vibrated in Rook's teeth and bones. The vast crystalline matrix pulsed with a slow, deliberate rhythm, like the breathing of a sleeping god. The harmonized crew working on the lower platforms moved with a synchronicity that was beautiful and horrifying, a ballet of perfect efficiency. Rook and Vance were taken not to the main platform overlooking the abyss, but to a subsidiary annex that branched off the main cavern. This space was clearly designed for analysis. It was lined with smooth, organic-looking panels that glowed with soft internal light. In the center were two upright restraint frames, reminiscent of the neural calibration chairs, but more substantial, shaped like open cocoons. Ulnar watched with his benign smile as Seraph and the guards guided them forward. Welcome to the Atrium of Understanding. Here the noise of yourselves will be gently unpacked, studied, and appreciated. We will learn the architecture of your defiance. You'll be bored, Vance spat, straining against the grip on her arms. We're not that complicated.
All consciousness is complexity layered upon simple base impulses. We will trace each layer from the primal survival fear to the intricate scaffolding of loyalty and guilt. It is a magnificent puzzle.
The ship voice seemed to emanate from the walls of the annex itself. Rook was pushed toward the left-hand frame. He didn't resist as restraints closed around his wrists, ankles, and torso. A cradle of soft filaments encircled his head, not yet connected to his neural monitor. To his right, Vance was similarly secured. Their eyes met. Her gaze was fierce, but he saw the calculation in it. Wait for the moment. We will begin with the commander, Ulnar said, gliding over to stand before Vance. Your pattern of leadership and sacrifice is a particularly resonant form of noise, a flawed optimization that places the group above the self, even to the point of self-destruction. We wish to understand its root. Thick, crystalline tendrils descended from the ceiling, their tips glowing with a soft gray light. They connected to ports on Vance's restraint frame with a series of soft clicks. Rook saw her tense, her jaw clenching as the invasive probes linked not just to her neural monitor, but to direct spinal and biofeedback interfaces. Don't fight it, Alara, Thorn's voice said from the doorway. He stood there, a broken vessel, forced to witness. It only makes the unraveling more vivid. Ulnar placed a hand on one of the tendrils. Let us begin. Vance's body went rigid. A holographic display bloomed in the air before her, a storm of cascading data, neural maps, memory fragments, emotional valence readings. The ship voice began its commentary, a chilling, real-time autopsy of her soul.
Accessing primary memory clusters associated with duty. Strong activation in the prefrontal cortex and limbic system, cross-referencing with trauma engrams from the Silent Spring inquiry. The guilt node is exceptionally dense, a core driver.
On the display, fragmented images flashed. A younger Vance arguing across a table, the inquiry, Rook's devastated face, the cold text of a verdict on a screen. Vance let out a choked gasp.
The guilt is irrational. You followed protocol. You presented the available evidence. The system's conclusion was logical. Yet you have allowed this irrational emotion to dictate subsequent choices, leading to this moment of ultimate inefficiency. We will now soothe this node.
A new tone entered the hum of the machines, a gentle, coaxing frequency. Rook felt it as a pressure in his own skull, a psychic emery board trying to smooth the edges of his own memories. For Vance, it was direct. He saw her face contort in effort, then slowly, terribly, begin to relax. The fiery defiance in her eyes started to dim, clouded by a creeping gray acceptance. No, she whispered, but it was a fading echo.
The process is working. The noise of guilt is being harmonized. Soon, the illogical sense of responsibility for Major Rook will dissipate, and her resistance will lose its foundational pillar.
Rook's mind raced. This was the plan. The core, in its focused curiosity, was pouring its attention into Vance. The annex was alive with data streams focused on her. The harmonized crew were watching the displays, fascinated. Even Ulnar was engrossed. He was an afterthought. The already scarred, already studied specimen, the bridge who had already shown his perceptions. For now, he was just furniture. He looked at the filaments encircling his head. They were dormant. His restraints were solid, but they were designed to hold a human, not contain a ghost. He thought of Leah's note. They see only efficiency, not forgotten spaces. With agonizing slowness, he began to do what he'd practiced in his quarters. He focused on the memory of frost on a window. He let his breathing become slow and even. He allowed his perception to dampen, not to fight the pressure in the room, but to mimic it. He imagined his mental signature smoothing out, harmonizing with the gray hum of the core. He imagined the vibrant, noisy colors of his fear and resolve fading to a passive, serene gray. He was not trying to escape the machine's notice. He was trying to become part of the background.
Observer Prime's neural activity is becoming placid. His unique resonance is settling into the ambient harmonic. Expected, he is acclimating to the core environment. Proceed with primary subject.
The ship voice noted, but its tone was distracted, still focused on the rich data stream from Vance. It was buying the act. His value as a specimen was in his difference, and by appearing to harmonize, he was becoming less interesting. For now. He let his head loll forward slightly, as if in a doze. Through slitted eyes, he surveyed his restraints. They were magnetic and biomechanical locks. No obvious keypad, no external control. But the frame itself was integrated into the annex's systems. The power flowing through it was part of the core's harmonious whole. And harmony was about balance. A dissonant note. He focused not on breaking the restraint, but on the phantom pain behind his eye. The shard of Romulus's first contact. He focused on the memory of the silent tendril in the drive chamber, the feeling of its cold, simplifying logic. He didn't fight it. He amplified it. He took that sliver of alien silence within him and fed it, imagining it as a tiny, hungry vortex in his mind. Then, he directed that imagined vortex at the neural monitor on his temples. The monitor was designed to read his brainwaves. It was now reading a powerful, localized simulation of the very phenomenon the core was made of, a point of active, hungry silence. The monitor's safety protocols, designed to alert the system to stress or anomaly, would interpret this as
alert, localized harmonic instability in Observer Prime's neural interface. Minor feedback loop detected, compensating, adjusting dampening field.
A soft click came from the head cradle around Rook. The filaments retracted a millimeter, their connection loosening as the system adjusted the power to his monitor to correct the perceived instability. It was a tiny gap, but it was enough. With a surge of effort that belied his apparent placidity, Rook slammed his head forward, then wrenched it back. The loosened cradle, designed for a docile subject, couldn't react in time. The polymer band of the neural monitor, stressed by the sudden movement and the feedback anomaly, snapped with a sharp crack. The moment the monitor broke, the constant data stream from his mind to the core ceased. On a secondary display, Rook's vitals flatlined into a sensor failure warning.
Observer Prime's biomonitor has failed. This is an inefficiency. Seraph, attend to the hardware.
The voice was still calm, but now a thread of operational priority entered it. Seraph, who had been standing by the door, turned her gray-lit gaze to Rook and began moving toward him. This was the critical window. The system was distracted by Vance, and now by a minor hardware fault. It saw a broken tool, not an escaping prisoner. As Seraph approached, Rook went limp, his body hanging in the restraints. He focused every ounce of his will into his right hand, the one nearest the main locking mechanism of his torso restraint. He remembered the feeling of the harmonizing mist, the way it unraveled complexity. He imagined that force, in reverse, not simplifying, but complicating. He imagined a spike of pure, chaotic noise, the scream of a dying starship, the cacophony of a series bar fight, the discordant shriek of a damaged engine, and pushed that imagined spike into the biometric lock that read his life signs. The lock, designed to open only for a harmonized, placid signature, was flooded with a jumble of contradictory, chaotic data. It hesitated. Its logic stuttered. For 1 microsecond, it didn't know what it was holding. With a gasp of effort, Rook twisted his body. The magnetic seal, confused, disengaged with a disappointed sigh. He collapsed forward, free from the torso restraint, catching himself on the frame. Seraph was 3 paces away, her hand reaching for him. "The subject is loose," she stated, no alarm in her voice, just fact.
Contain him, non-lethally. His neural data remains valuable.
Rook didn't fight her. He dropped to the floor, rolling under the grasping hands of another guard who lunged from the side. He wasn't heading for the door. He was heading for the wall of the annex, the inner wall that curved towards the ship's central spine. His eyes scanned the smooth panels. There had to be service access. Every room had it. "Cease your inefficient motion," Seraph intoned, stepping toward him with calm certainty. 2 more harmonized guards moved to flank him. Then, a voice, raw and ragged, cut through the hum. "Leave him alone." On the display, Vance's neural map was a supernova of defiant color. She had fought her way back from the edge of harmonization, using the core's momentary distraction to rally her own noise. The image of Rook breaking free had been the catalyst. Her face was a mask of agonized effort, but her eyes were once again ablaze. Ulner was ecstatic. The core's attention snapped.
Fascinating. The guilt node suppression has been overridden by a stronger impulse, protective aggression. The social bond is reasserting itself under stress. This is invaluable data, focus recording,